Hello there, everyone. Ashnflash here, and welcome on into my spoiler review for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And like always, we're going to talk non spoilers, spoilers, and then Lego talk. And boy, do I have a lot to say about that. So there's chapters down below if you want to hop around. But I guess non spoilers, or before that, even an individual chunk of my history with Indiana Jones. I grew up. I don't remember at what age I saw it, but I was definitely too young to watch it, and we wound up shutting it off after the first opening of the Golden Idol temple and everything there. But then, when the movie rolled around in 2008, I went back and started to watch them all, and I love them, of course, loving Star Wars. It was just so natural because of Harrison Ford and everything there, and I really loved it. It was just such a time back then. I can't describe it. Just with those sets releasing, I can still picture the commercials and different things for that, and then the video game releasing, and I played it on both the PlayStation 2 and also the DS. So I had actually a special DS sticker on the front. It also had like this rubbery Lego cover. Got a lot of the sets. I think one of my birthdays was Indiana Jones themed because of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and different things like that. So I have vivid memories of when and where I was when I watched these different movies. And then, of course, there have been rumblings over the years of a fifth Indiana Jones movie, and I was very excited for that. And I remember when they first announced it and all these different things, but there's a video game coming out as well. So I am, all in for Indiana Jones. And then when the new theme was rumored to come back, I covered it immediately, and then we've covered all the news for it, and I just love it. Just so excited for this movie. So I guess non-spoilers, there were some parts of this that I really loved, like genuinely, like just it was perfect. Some of the lines that people said to each other, the references to the past, I think that just some of the moments between them, and I think it just really blew me away. But there are some other things that I don't know how I feel about it. I think it just has to sort of sit with me. I definitely think that it's better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, having rewatched those all again recently. I've never been a big fan of Temple of Doom personally. It's just always been so dark and scary to me as a kid. So I don't know, maybe I've taken that with me into adulthood, but it's not as fun, I would say. It's not as lighthearted as some of the other ones that I can think of, with specifically like The Last Crusade is my favorite of all five. But I think this one might be third. Again, that might change the more that I think about it. I think it was great to see him back. I think that there were some moments that I really liked. Helena, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. I think that Mads Mikkelsen's villain was really great for a lot of it. I think that he definitely did more, I think, than some other villains. I guess the only other thing I'll say non-spoiler wise is it felt long, and that's not to say that there was like a lot of unnecessary moments or scenes. I just think that some of them might have gone on for a bit too long, adding to it being the longest Indiana Jones movie. And in a lot of ways, it's the same director that did Logan, and I see the similarities in terms of he's coming in, taking this beloved character, telling this story in the future from where we've last seen this character, filling in those gaps, and trying to tell a story between where we last saw them, where they are now, and then also giving them this final send off. I think is and again, it felt very long, but also it's the last time we're gonna see him, right? So I think that in a lot of ways I don't mind the length when I look at it from that lens, but I felt it. Not to say that it was bad. I felt it, and you can feel that with movies, right? Anyways, let's jump into spoilers. All right, I want to first start, I think, with the prologue, the intro, the CGI, the 20 plus minutes of young Indiana Jones. And I think for me personally, I've said this before, but I really don't mind that. I think that in some spots it did look a bit wonky, his eyes and mouth, just the way they moved wasn't necessarily the greatest. But there were some moments, specifically when he was wearing a hat. I'm not just saying the fedora. He also wore like a Nazi helmet. There were moments where I was like, wow, I don't know if it was the lighting, the shading, and all of it. It just looked like a still of young Harrison Ford. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell that this is from a movie from 2023. He looked phenomenal, and I think it was just so fun to see him in his prime. I've said this before, but I don't have a problem with this. I think of it like, again, there's a video game coming out that's going to be an Xbox and PC exclusive, and obviously it's going to be set when he's in his prime, not when he's older. And I just sort of associate it the same way. It's like when certain characters pop up in animation or video games, whether they're alive or dead, it's just exciting to see those characters again. And I think that that's sort of where my mindset is with this. You know, CGI for Star Wars and indie way back when, they're not necessarily the greatest. They don't hold up to today. Disney's doing their best here with the aging Harrison Ford. 20 years from now, who knows? It might be perfected, obviously, right? So I think that just, for me, I look at this through the lens of, wow, this is a really fun adventure here that we're getting to see younger Indy, and I think it's just great to see him fighting Nazis, which is what people love, on this train set, which was so cool. We've never seen that age of Indy fighting on a train, and it was just great to see him going through the different cabins, looking for the Spear of Destiny, which I think is also really interesting, the spear that pierced Christ's side. So I think the fact that, you know, this object that is probably, besides maybe the Ark and the Grail, also really known for appearing in different forms of media over the many years, I think was really interesting. I would love it if the game picked up after that or something, looking for the real one. I think that would be really exciting, just to connect these two dots. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. I think it's interesting too, just the name. Everyone knows it as the Spear of Destiny. You can look up a ton of YouTube videos about it, about the real history of it, and that's what it's called. So the fact that they went, let's call this the Dial of Destiny, I think that's a really interesting connection between the two there. And sort of both with the myth of what the spear is able to do and what this dial can do. It was very, very similar in that regard. But really great. I think that how they set it up as well, the connection of setting up how he knew Voller was very good. Also, how he knew Helena's dad, I think, was really great in setting all that up. But anyways, just great to see him young. I think that the action sequences there, that whole 20-minute thing, I was just, I just so happy, just smiling the entire time. I think it was great from start to finish. Very exciting. But anyways, when it came to the actual story of this, the plot of it, I thought that seeing him retired and just the fact that there were so many moments in this, and I was saying this up above, but there were moments and lines that just were really great. Just Indy not being impressed by the moon landing. I think it's just so funny that he just compared it to going out to the desert. It's nothing special. Look at everything he's experienced, right? Aliens and the Ark and ghosts coming out of that, and the different voodoo magic, as he yells out. I think is just so funny to me that he just didn't care. Like, it's nothing to him. It's boring. I love that a lot. There was another moment. I don't remember the specific line that was said, but it was when they were in the bar. And something along the lines of, this drove your father mad. Why are you wanting to look for this? And she goes, wouldn't you? And I just thought that the parallel there was amazing. The look that Harrison Ford gave of the realization of, oh, I had that chance. My father shut me out and became obsessed with the Grail, and I got to have that adventure with him, I think was really powerful. I think that in that regard, him also sort of filling that void in her life, because he is her godfather, I think was really great too, that he got to go on this adventure with her, and that he sort of, in a way, failed fatherhood twice, I guess, if you include the first time. Now he has a second chance with uh, Helena. But I think that's really interesting that the parallels between him and Henry Jones Sr. were phenomenal. I really like that. I did laugh when they just casually mentioned that Mutt died, because he's just obviously over the years have gone by really hated, and I thought it was funny how they just sort of wrote it off. But then specifically though, on the flip side, as funny as I thought that was, when they had that moment on the boat and she was like, well, what would you go back and change? I thought that was a really good performance. Just talking about how he would change everything, and what his death meant to Marion and his marriage, I thought was very special. I want to jump back again to those special moments. I guess that's what I'll call this, these special moments. Salah, the little bit that he was in, really great. Really great. I love the send-off when he said, I've got my passport, I'm packed, Indy. And I thought that was just so sweet. He missed those days, and he wanted to help Indy in any way that he could. I thought it was just really special. Really sweet moment between the two of them before he went off on that adventure. I think that's it for like the special moments, I'll consider them, besides the very ending, which I'll talk about at the end. But I really liked that flashback, and I think they could have just maybe set the movie at that age of Harrison Ford, because I thought that one looked really good, of putting him at the age of, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, sort of, maybe even a little bit younger than that. I think looked really, really great. How, it didn't look too off of where he is now, but he still didn't look too young. I would have loved that. But that scene was really great too. The last one that we saw with Toby Jones, seeing how that all played out with Helena and having them both flash back on the plane. And then also when looking through the reflection, just how it switched between the two of them, I thought was really great. The only thing was, I was very disappointed. I thought to myself, I was like, what the heck? We're on a plane. We didn't see the plane map. And then they did it later. They fixed that later. But I guess because it was a part of, it was an actual scene, I think was very interesting on the plane. Sort of akin to them going on the blimp, let's say, right? The dial itself, really interesting to find out that it is actually a real dial that is rumored to be created by Archimedes, not obviously for the use of time travel, but the fact that it was actually a real thing, I think I really appreciate a little bit more than other things that they've created over the years for Indy to go after. So I like when it's grounded like that, and I think that's pretty important. So the plot of this, of going after it, that it's broken in two, I thought that was really cool. How it was, on that ship there was this location to go to to find the other half, and how it broke in half, and they were only able to, at the time, because of technology and the scuba equipment back then, they could only go that low. I thought that was really fun. I thought the eels was really great too, and just how they were able to play that into his fear of snakes. And Antonio Banderas, for as little as he was in, I thought was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed his character for the bits that we saw, and the fact that even just, again, great storytelling of how the magic trick, as simple as it was, that it was like the dial, that it's a fixed point to pull whoever finds the dial to come and help Archimedes, I think was really interesting. And even the reveal of that as well, of looking at his casket with all the markings, and is that a propeller there, I thought was really cool. He had a watch on, and certain things like that I thought were really impressive in terms of setting that up. Obviously going into this movie knowing it was about time travel, I don't know if people would necessarily give it a shot. I think that after Aliens and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I don't know if they would want to do time travel. So I don't mind it. I think that how they used it, there were a few moments where I was a little scared, if I'm being honest. When they were talking about how the coordinates were off, I was concerned. I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to bring Indiana Jones into the present day? And I was like, I don't know about this. Are they going to go into the future or something crazy? But I think that it was cool, honestly, to go back to the past and for Indy, this archaeologist, this history teacher, to be seeing this that he's been teaching about for however many years, right? I think is just that must have been incredible, right? It would be incredible to be living that out. And of course he wants to stay. Do I agree with it? Am I happy he went back? Personally, yes, I am. Not just for the space-time continuum, but I just mean in terms of obviously what we got to see with Marion. But I think that overall, like the action bits, there was just so much. And I'll probably talk more about that in Lego Talk. But I think that it was really great. I just think they went on for too long. The tuk-tuk chase was a little bit too long for my liking. But I think that Helena, again, it was sort of hit and miss. There were some moments I really liked her, and some moments I was like, I don't really like her. I don't know. I don't like her character L3 either in Solo. So the only things I've ever seen her in, 2 for 2. One I really didn't like, and one I don't know. Maybe over time, we'll see how I feel. There was just a lot of moments where it felt like Indy was needing to be rescued a bit too much. They seem to be doing too much, in my opinion, for an Indiana Jones movie. Definitely the most that he's ever been in peril, I guess, that other people have had to save him. Like, even contrasting that to the intro of, him doing everything himself and being the one rescuing. I don't know. Again, he is older. He talks about that. I thought that was really funny, too. But there just seemed to be a lot of, okay, we're going to go here. We've got this thing. It's going to point us to this thing. We've got to go to this location. And oh, now we're finding something else. And oh no, this person's been kidnapped. But then this person's been kidnapped. And then they didn't go after the kid. I don't know. It just felt a bit repetitive, a bit long. You know what I mean? The only things that I would say, like, I definitely did not like about this were the villains. I really liked Voller, and I think I enjoyed how much he was involved with. And the only thing that I'm like, I feel like there was nothing scary about this movie. And I know that's sort of hypocritical maybe to what I was talking about before, how I was too scared of Temple of Doom. But I feel like that's just a part of Indiana Jones. And obviously Temple of Doom is the darkest one. But I mean, like, there was just no, like, notable deaths, if that makes any sense. Like, when you think of Indiana Jones and the villains' deaths and different things, you think of the melting faces, and then you think of, him aging and turning to dust, and her being overwhelmed with the knowledge of the universe and everything there. But then it was like, oh, they died in a plane crash. It wasn't even necessary. It wasn't even at the hands of Indy or anything. Like, he didn't get to really kill any of the goons. The kid killed one of them by locking them up in the drain or whatever, by handcuffing him to that. I guess that was the most sort of gruesome death. Voller just dying in a plane crash, and yeah, we saw him all burnt up. But then you compare it to what happened with Mola Ram. What happened? He fell off a bridge, hit his head, and the alligators ate him, right? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just sort of, I guess, on par with, all right, he blew up in a plane explosion. But I will say, however, with that, I think the fact that he did fail after all these years, I thought was after his success of putting the Americans on the moon, which was a real thing, by the way, in history. I think that the fact that he was just so frustrated with himself of his failure and just wanting to go back and fix it, and he didn't even get to know why he was there, I think was also funny, because it was a fixed dial to always point them into this point in time. The ending, though, my goodness, I loved it. The scene with Marion, oh, bawled my eyes out. To see them reflect and sort of reverse that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, I thought was chef's kiss. Incredible. And just sort of, in a way, I didn't talk about this before, I probably should have, but he was in this slump. He was, drinking all throughout the movie, just trying to cope with Mutt's loss. and the failure of his marriage, to the fact that Helena's saying, he's back. And to me, I didn't take it as, he's back as in he's just back from his adventure. It was Indy's back. He's back. He's ready to care for people again, and I think that was really special. Probably my favorite of moment of the whole movie. I thought it was very, very sweet. And also just the funny how at the start he puts the magnet over her face, and when she's putting stuff in the fridge, he just like tries to casually remove the magnet off of her face. I audibly laughed. I thought that was really subtle and really funny. But in terms of like the future of this franchise, I definitely can see Helena getting her own movie or series. I don't know if I would really want that, but I wonder if Harrison Ford would cameo in it. I could definitely see that happening. But I think how you sell that, this is my pitch for this series, right? You bring back Short Round because everyone loves him right now, right? People were disappointed he wasn't in this, but when this was filmed and everything, right, this was pre-Oscar and pre him even returning to acting, so I have no problem with him not being here, obviously. It would have been great, but I think that's how you sell the show. Them teaming up, and maybe she does get the hat. I don't know, but I think that them teaming up together to go on some adventure, I think that's how you sell it. Personally, I think that's how you would go about doing something like that. But I am very excited for that game, like I said before, and I cannot wait for that because I definitely think that's the way to go too. They've been trying to get a video game out for, I don't know, there's just been so many problems with getting video games over the years. So the fact that it's like actually happening and we're getting closer and closer to that, I cannot wait. Lego talk. Woohoo! What is this? The third time in a month we're talking about how Lego has missed out? Crazy. And if you want to continue that, by the way, for franchises I don't care about, they have the license to Transformers. They have the license to also Fast and Furious for Speed Champions. And if you want to go one step further and say, well, Hasbro's worked with Lego to do Transformers, they could have, maybe instead of Mega Constructs, they could have done Barbie as well coming out soon too. So there's just a lot that Lego has connections to and that they have potential to do sets for. And they're dropping the ball. Anyways, though, with this, I don't care if you didn't like that movie. I think that, again, the action was so great. There's so many moments in this, and I'm so jealous of Hasbro and Funko and other different toy companies getting to make products off of this. I'm so sad about that. I would love, and I know other people would too, that train at the start. I've been saying this since I saw the set photos, and I've been tweeting about it as well, I'm sure. But that's an excellent, perfect set right there. I think would be great. I would love the spear. I think that would be great to get the knockoff spear as well. But even just getting different, you could scatter. I don't know if they would necessarily make like a new piece for the dial. It'd be really cool if it could, slide into each other, sort of, like the actual 2x2 sort of, how we can put stud shooters into those launchers. I think it'd be cool if they made some piece that when you connect them, that would just be incredible. I'm sure it could be done. And putting them in different sets would be so much fun. I think that the Tuk Tuk Chase as well would be a great little $15-$20 set. Would be incredible. The tomb, I don't know if they would do the tomb. There wasn't, what was there? The methane gas. How's Lego gonna represent methane gas for like a trap? And I guess they could probably do something with the bridge that could fall apart, and then also I guess also the insects and different things like that. But the sliding feature, yeah, I guess I could see a set of this in a way, but it wouldn't be that exciting. Maybe a smallish set, sort of like the tomb that we have right now. But the plane would be really cool to get a giant plane like that, and I would love that so much. I don't think I would include Archimedes or anything like that in there, but it would be great if they scattered the parts of the dial across these sets. We did a video talking about how Lego has sort of teased that they might be doing something like that, but I also have another video talking about 10 sets that I'd like to see them do for the theme. And I really think that they've got to return to this, whether it is they're able to do it next year or not. I think that they're going to realize just the hype around these sets I really feel like they've been unmatched. Like, I think people were more excited about that than Lord of the Rings returning, simply because maybe it's a theme and there's cheaper sets for people to get versus a $500 thing. I just would love more Indiana Jones stuff. And a huge thanks to Bricktory Lap. You can check him down below. He's the one that I used the custom sets for the thumbnail, and I think that he did a great job with the 3 sets that he's designed so far. But anyways, what did you think of Dial of Destiny? I think that I really loved a lot of it, and I'm just sort of on other parts of it, but overall, I had a great time. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, which is what matters, I think, for these films, and I am so sad there's no sets for this, but be sure to subscribe, turn the bell notifications so that you don't miss out on future Lego Indiana Jones set news and reviews if there are more sets to review and cover. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. I will see you all in the next one.